Hey, it's a simple song this time. Hey, hey. Welcome to Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. Welcome, folks. We're doing it live in living color in the ring of life. I am here for you, my friends. Family first. My friends and complete strangers who are discovering us for the very, very first time. Welcome to Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. What we talk about, folks, here on our podcast is essentially the world of sports entertainment in today's era, as Vince McMahon would have said back in the day, and of the era of the old school professional wrestling. We're going to introduce you to something that is a genre that is considered artistic, show business stuntmen, aka fake, is what I've heard, but it's not, because I have a ringing of the ear, which is called tinnitus, permanent hearing damage from a guitar shot from this very same type of show called professional wrestling. So if you say it's fake, I get mad. That's a bad F word. And by the way, this is very child friendly. So please, parents, tell your kids to subscribe, okay? Because we are very good entertainment for the generation of young that are willing to listen about the old school wrestling. So don't think this is just for people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Teenagers and young kids can watch this too. And if your baby is going, give it my voice. I don't know if that's good for the baby or bad, but either way, we're entertaining. Just saying. We're on YouTube, subscribe, iTunes, subscribe, and Spotify, subscribe. Okay, thanks for subscribing. So you probably didn't yet, but that's okay. I am going to leave it with the force. And may the force be with me, that I build up a viewership day after day, week after week, year after year on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. Just to warn you, I do have different levels. So whatever level you get, that's what you get. Because life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So anyways, I was a Forrest Gump. And if you thought it sucked, it probably did. But the only point is this. Is there a point? Yes, there is. Today, on our lovely podcast, we're going to be discussing the world of professional wrestling. And one of the biggest names in the history of pro wrestling, not just by name, by being called the grand champion. I'm talking about Yokozuna. Yes, the mighty Yokozuna. Okay? And he is a name synonymous with 1990s wrestling, especially the mid-90s, when Yokozuna was World Wrestling Federation champion, who even defeated one of the biggest names in the history of professional wrestling by the name of Bret the Hitman Hart to become World Wrestling Federation champion at Wrestlemania, to be defeated by 30 seconds later, Hulk Hogan. And then, once again, to be defeated by Bret the Hitman Hart. But once again, folks, this is why we're going to be learning today about Yokozuna, the most interesting name in the history of professional wrestling, because it was a Japanese name, but he was Samoan. Oh my goodness. Can't wait to share that information with you folks, because this is what we're doing right here on our podcast. But there's more. There's everyone out there in the world dealing with what we call the biggest pandemic of our lifetime. For those that went through polio, they also went through another pandemic. So essentially, we're talking about the current one that we're in, called COVID. Okay, COVID is a mysterious thing that really introduced me to podcasting, because stand-up comedy has been taken from us. It's essentially coming back. This Friday, I'm going to be visiting possibly some clubs. But you know what? Who knows? I may not. It all depends on how I feel. Because if I'm not properly covered with a mask, and I'm also in closed doors amongst many faces, it's not too good to be too overzealous. But we are in need of entertainment. So it's a dilemma. But the dilemma is this. Can you subscribe? Yes. That's all it takes. Stand-up comedy now is even virtual. So who knows? If I get the right guests on, some WWE superstars at one time or another or current that are still stand-up comics, who knows? The Zooms could be coming up this year, but you'd have to tune in to find out and subscribe and tell a friend and say, did you hear about Larry? That was my version of trying to figure out if I was going to go Stallone or was I going to go regular voice. So it was very confusing. So that's what that noise was. Just for those that just heard it and go, what the hell was that? I'm Batman. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? I just went to Michael Keaton, but that was my favorite Batman. I don't know which one was yours, but mine is Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. That Batman, early 90s. That one is the coolest Batman ever, even was cartoony, but I liked it because Jack was Jack. You can't get anything out of Jack Nicholson but Jack Nicholson. Watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. No, actually, you're watching that show right here. Improv, comedy. I had none. Anyways, is there a point to this? Yes. We're ranting. Bird might call it genius. No, that's me, actually. Sorry. I think what I do is genius. Others, not so much. That guy made a lot of money. He'll remain nameless, Bird. Should have been our money. It's okay. We're getting it. Remember, we used to have a... Never mind. We're not talking about the past anymore, folks. That's what I've learned. I've had my business advisors advising me. All of them. You know what they told me? Maybe it's just one voice that said, be humble. Have an attitude of gratitude. There's plenty of it for everybody. It's out there, folks. Even during COVID, you can still obtain your dreams. You can still obtain your goals. You can make money and be financially stable. You can have the largest independent liquor store in all of anywhere. Do whatever makes you happy. I don't drink anymore. But you know what? I still don't frown on people trying to generate money for their families because I grew up in one. Okay? I grew up in the grocery liquor store business. If you want to know something about me, I'm Iraqi, Turkish, Armenian, and very confused. I'm white. Well, depends on how the lighting hits me. I might be black and white right now. Not because I'm like Michael Jackson, but you know what? Because of the fact I'm in a screen that might look black and white. Who knows what you're going to see on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. Who knows? I could be the boy in the bubble next episode. I don't know. It's a good movie. My business partner, longtime personal friend, not me, Gene Okerlund, but my longtime personal friend introduced me to that movie Bubble Boy. And it's funny. It's a corny cult classic, early 2000s. It's funny. Watch it. I recommend it. Actually, I'd rather you watch that than watch me, then come back to me. Anyways, I digress. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So we're talking about the fact that this year could be your year. I know, like Tony Robbins, even though I went to one of those things and I thought it was a waste of money because Stallone was on the next day. I wanted to meet Stallone. I already met him once during the movie premiere Driven, but he was in the Bay Area doing one of those Tony Robbins things to get you motivated to do things in your life. Well, those guys got a lot of money. I basically didn't even get Stallone because I went on the wrong day. And I don't want to go back the next day. I'm ranting, and there's a reason why. Because you can't do anything about it. It doesn't matter. One thing you'll know about this show is that I reference wrestling. And the reason why is because it's a big part of my life. It's a big part of everyone's life if you think about it. Aren't we always battling something inside? Turmoil within? Maybe you're not happy with yourself. Go vegan! Maybe that'll make you happier because it'll help your endorphins. And there's a lot of things that I've decided to change within myself. I'm sober 2 years plus. I'm happy to say it and proud of it because I believe that stopping alcohol altogether cold turkey changed my direction in life. Now, for those out there that are going through it, but still can have some type of normalcy with one drink or two that don't go over the edge. I respect anybody who wants to go and do things that make them happy. But for me personally, I'm happy that my life is full of excitement right now. It's full of blessings. And the reason why is because I believe there's a purpose for me. There's a purpose every day for me. All day, every day, as I say. Okay? So every single time I look in the mirror and I look around and I notice that people are out there and they're happy for me. And I'm excited to be alive and I'm excited to be here. Let's keep it going. Why stop that feeling? Don't stop. Believe it. Please don't edit that out, Bert. It was a good moment. Anyways, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of people in the world that deserve happiness. The person that looks in the mirror deserves happiness. So if that's you, you deserve it. I'm going to bring you to reality on this show, folks. My hair looks good, and there's a reason. I use this Vidal Sassoon type gel stuff, but there's a happiness within. Not because of my hair looking like Fonzie, but the fact is, hey, you know what? The fact is, it's a cool show, and you get to experience the unorthodox styling. I'm not Looney Tunes. I'm Larry Lawrence. The name's so nice. They named me twice. So whatever just happened, folks, you just have to learn to accept it. The Zen Master has arrived. And the reason why I am the Zen Master? Yes, Sensei. Cobra Kai never dies. I can tell you right now, I got a Cobra Kai shirt underneath. Ladies, I'm not taking my shirt off, but hit my music. No, don't, because then it'll be advertising revenue. That's not mine. Anyways, because, you know, I'm using the Spotify myself, and sometimes I play the music, and it goes on that Google thing. Don't say nothing, because it shall come alive. Anyways, don't do it anyways. Hey, Google, you can sponsor the show. You can buy us all you want. We'll take your money. Anyways, it's not about the money. I've learned this too, by the way. It's about the process. I sure could use the money, though. Seriously. I mean, if you guys want to buy the show out there, I ain't mad at you. Those tech companies with like billions buy Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff and make Bird and Larry like financially stable. I'll take it. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah. How are you dealing with your life every day? I am dealing with it positively happy. I want to tell you some folks. Seriously. The reason why I do this is because I want you to know I'm excited to be alive. If you think that this is easy, it's not. Because essentially I have no audience. Oh, you're out there. I'm used to doing live entertainment, but I'm proud of what I'm doing here. And it's giving me a new outlook on life. And some of us, like Tom Brady, are Super Bowl champions at the age of 43. Now, what I've learned, I'm not disclosing my age, it's never too late to do anything and be successful at it. So I guess by Tom Brady, this is my mentality. I've never liked the fact that Tom Brady kept winning, and they always say Joe Montana, Tom Brady. No. Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of his era. That's the 80s. Okay, as Vince McMahon would say, Tom Brady is the greatest of his era, the 10s, and now the early 20s. And he needs to go away. He's done. But Terry Bradshaw was of the 70s. So this is what I'm going to tell you right now. And I'm going to get over being bitter about it. It's like fine wine. Sometimes it gets better with age. For those of you on YouTube, I apologize. I'm just enjoying my sideburns, my hair, and the fact that every day is a blessing. And I'm excited to share good news in the new year with my fan base, my friends, and of course, most importantly, my family who are supporting me in my adventure, my new adventure, my business venture, and my life journey, which has brought me here to you. And I thank you for tuning in on YouTube. I thank you for tuning in on Spotify. Forgot. We have 3: YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. So folks, whatever platform, excuse me, that you're listening to us. I'm sorry, I gotta have a beverage. I just choked. It's called live television, folks. Except by the time you watch this, it may not be live anymore. Anyways, the whole point is this. I am happy to be here. The reason why is because I could have been dead with my drinking lifestyle in Hollywood, party lifestyle, but I'm here to share this new experience with you. And unfortunately, for the main subject today, that's our main focus today. The main event of the evening, folks. In Japanese wrestling, aka sumo wrestling, if you're the ultimate #1 champ in sumo, they call you the Yokozuna. And the reason why that meaning in Japanese is grand champion. But in the World Wrestling Federation in 1994, actually, I take it back even further, 93, when he won the Royal Rumble, and he took the big man to the next level. Now, Andre the Giant was the biggest man up to Yokozuna in the 90s, 7'4". Yokozuna was not height-wise what Andre was, but he was billed at even 641 pounds at one point. He needed like a forklift to move him when he got injured at the ring, but he wasn't even quite that big yet. This man could move in the ring, okay? He could move and was agile and was so amazing. He even climbed ropes and smashed his opponent with Banzai. And he would say, Yosh! Even though some people don't like that noise. Yosh! Okay? That came from Yokozuna and Pat Morita in the Karate Kid. Yosh! You know what I'm saying? It's kind of cool. You're ready to fucking kick someone's ass. Beep! Anyways, you know what I mean. Sorry, there was a delay on the button. When you're ready to kick someone's ass. Anyways, back to focus. Yokozuna, the greatest Japanese big man. See, Vince McMahon has done it even with the Iron Sheik. He tries to pull the wool over your eyes and repackage a character, which Rikishi was also, you could say, not a victim, but he was many of those characters. This show is not about Rikishi, but he was also a head shrinker and came up with all kinds of different gimmicks. But so did Yokozuna, whose names were Kokina, would be one of them, the Wild Samoan, Kokina Maximus, and the Great Kokina, before he became Yokozuna. He debuted in 1984. And I can tell you, he came up between 84 and 92 in different various promotions. The AWA in particular, which was the American Wrestling Association, owned by Vern Gagne in Minnesota. Minnesota, home of the greatest governor in the history of governors, not the governor, but Jesse the Body Ventura, Minnesota. And I can tell you, folks, Jesse the Body Ventura may have been the governor of Minnesota, but AWA was the wrestling promotion of Minnesota in the late 70s, early 80s timeframe. And I can tell you, this is where my friend, whose real name is Rodney Anoy, I had trouble saying the last one, but Anoy, it's a very famous Samoan family name, which has Roman Reigns, current star, World Wrestling Federation, Universal Champion. And I can tell you, it's had many Samoan names, like I mentioned, Rikishi. Samoa is where they're from. The Samoan Dynasty is what they're called. And I actually had personal relationship with Rikishi and some of the others, like the great Tonga Kid. I had the chance to interact with these individuals. And they run a show in Los Angeles, a promotion called Knox Pro. And all this, folks, is legitimate promotions that are still out there in the indie circuit land. And speaking of indie circuit, okay, there are a lot of indie circuits coming back now that Wrestlemania is back. Wrestlemania will be at Raymond James Stadium for 2 nights in Tampa Bay, Florida, where the Super Bowl was just happened, where Pretty Boy Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in his home stadium, even though he was in the Patriots. Anyways, we're not talking about Tom anymore. He won again. Who cares? Anyways, the whole point is WrestleMania and AEW, and everyone's based out of Florida. Seemingly, there's so much going on in Florida in the next few months. I'm assuming, hopefully, they'll be traveling soon. We don't know if that's the case. Sorry to sidetrack from the Yokozuna story. I just want to make sure you know that WrestleMania and the Edge and all these individuals will be coming to Florida to perform once again because we are bringing wrestling back. We're excited. Sorry to interrupt my story about Yokozuna. I totally blanked out. I need to mention this, and I needed to mention it earlier, that wrestling is back in Florida on a big attendance basis. So hopefully there's going to be like 22,000 people. I'm not going to WrestleMania. I'd like to, but never say never. It's in Tampa Bay in April. Anyways, Edge had the worst promo with NXT wrestlers, Finn Balor and that other English guy. I forget his name right now. Anyways, that guy with the weird hair. What's his name? He's part of that group. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it sucked. It was the worst promo I'd ever seen Edge have to deal with. Like, everyone was staying in the ring. Finn Balor, the other guy from that group, whatever that group's name is, and they kicked out the football player guy. You see, because I really don't care about the show, I'm not remembering anybody's name because it's just boring. Can't watch it. It's not like Yokozuna and Bret the Hitman Hart and Hulk Hogan. Let's get back to focus on Yokozuna, who the show was originally about. But I just had to chime in because, you know, when I forget to say things, I have to remember them and then bring them back to you. And then you can say, I'm the host with the most. You're welcome. Tune into other podcasts. You'll see you're not getting the rest. You're getting the best right here. Did that make sense? I don't know if it did. But if it didn't, it doesn't matter. Back to focus. This is what we do on our show, folks. We take you on a roller coaster ride of what the hell just happened. You're like, wait a minute. Did that just happen on a podcast? Yes, it did. And what you're going to do is you're going to tell your family, friends, and strangers, hey, yo, have you heard about Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff? I know I switched from the Rocky voice to another voice. That means I have a split personality. You see how we just threw you a curveball? How do you react to that? That I have a split personality? Am I on medication? People say I should be. I don't agree. Ask my other personality. You see, folks, I'm going to take you on a roller coaster ride of excitement and confusion both. But Yokozuna took you on a leg drop, bonsai, and he smashed your face. And this wrestler, who the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, said, Vince, I want him. Not like in a gay, never mind, in that kind of way. Anyways, but the whole point is he said, I want to wrestle that guy. So he did. In a straight way. You know what I mean. Anyways, so they wrestled Yokozuna and The Undertaker. Royal Rumble, where he actually smashed The Undertaker, put him in a casket with the help of Jeff Jarrett, a guy that smashed him. Anyways. And then many other wrestlers in 94, and they put him in a casket. They shoved The Undertaker in a casket, shut the lid, and Yokozuna, and then Undertaker goes and gets elevated into the sky, and it's a very, like, fake doll Undertaker. It goes into the sky. But Yokozuna was a part of this. If it confuses you, don't worry. Just watch the footage. Royal Rumble 94, I think. Watch the fact that Yokozuna sends the dead Undertaker into the heavens. That's what they wrote back then, folks. That was considered entertainment, according to Vince. Like, you tune into this, and this is entertainment, according to Larry. Nobody else has to care. I care that it's entertaining. I'm entertained by it. I'm sitting here. And Yokozuna gave us the entertainment that even unfortunately led to his early tragic ending. Now, I didn't finish on a positive note, I didn't finish the legacy thanking. Now, I say legacies because everyone contributes in their own way. And my favorite wrestler to chant this name, Umaga, was Armando Alejandro Estrada. No, he said Estrada. Ha ha. He was a Puerto Rican character, I think, that was the manager of Umaga, who's also a cousin of the late great Yokozuna, and wrestled in the World Wrestling Federation, and passed away due to acute substance abuse. Edward Fatu, age 36. Okay, heart attack. Also, another tragic ending in the Inoue family is Rosie, the comic book superhero with Hurricane Holmes. He had other gimmicks, but that's the one that was the most popular. He suffered from congestive heart failure, passed away at the age of 47. And Yokozuna, who Rikishi acknowledges as the forefront. Alpha and Sinka, though, were technically the cousins removed, the Usos. Okay? They're all related. Roman Reigns, same family. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the People's Champ, all related under the Samoan dynasty. Now, this is a gentleman who took, it's because Alpha and Sika were more in the 1970s, had a great relationship with Vince. But what happened was they ate like stuff and made noises and acted like all crazy. So in a sense, they were all over the place. But that character was never pushed to the number one position. But Yokozuna, Vince McMahon built a great relationship with Rodney. And backstage, he was loved by everybody. Everybody loved him because of the personality of the father he was. 2 children, okay? Justin and Kehlani, I believe is the daughter's name. And these kids only remember their father to the extent of loving and caring when he passed away at the age of 34. Yes, 34. He passed away, folks. Now you think about that. That life was short to the point of, did he ever really enjoy to reap the rewards of his good fortune? And to be able to put the Samoan dynasty on the map. I think he was cheated because he didn't care about his health. According to others within this documentary, Jim Cornette, Bruce Pritchard, aka Brother Love, who's a producer backstage, spoke about how Yokozuna just neglected his weight and would eat and eat and eat and eat. I could do that back in the day and never gain a pound. Then all of a sudden I got, my own grandmother said he's fat in Arabic, hada samin, and I lost the weight. I didn't go completely vegan, but I changed up my attitude. I stopped drinking and I changed up my life. And I'm here alive to tell you that my liver was like 70% failing due to my drinking. Yokozuna could not stop eating, and people have that disorder as well, where he could eat tons and tons of food and still not be full. It's a disease, and unfortunately, they try getting him the help. He just go back to his old habits, but always was the happy-go-lucky, giving, donated his money. His kids even said in this documentary that they didn't really get much. They wish he'd saved his money. I guess that means that for a guy who had the ultimate success, I'm sensing that maybe there wasn't a lot left behind for the millions that he made, probably. Because I'm assuming, and I could be wrong. But it wasn't about the money. It's about the fact that this gentleman had taken that dynasty, Samoan dynasty, to levels it'd never been. And then Alpha and Sika, I think it was other relatives too that just felt they cheated him out of attention because he passed away in London, England. He was happier when he was on the independent circuit, but the wrestling really wasn't the same on an independent level like it was with WWF, obviously in front of stadiums and thousands and the payoffs. And Brett feels like after he defeated him at WrestleMania 10 with Roddy Piper actually as a special guest referee. That after that Yokozuna kind of just didn't care anymore. He tagged with Bret's brother Owen for a little bit and Jim Cornette as the manager. And Jim Cornette on the same documentary. Oh, by the way, on the WWE Network, it's called Icons. WWE Network Icons documentary. I recommend it. It's the first episode of many to come with Beth Phoenix, RVD, are just some of the names that are coming up that we're going to talk about on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. We're hoping to have certain names like, the Thumbs, maybe coming at you in 2021 on a Zoom interview. You never know, folks. Tune in, subscribe, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. But I'm going to tell you right now, at 6'4" and 200, 300, 400, 641 pounds. You tell me, a 640-pound man traveling was one of his unfavorite things to do. Least favorite. Yokozuna trying to sit in an airplane going from one place to another. Well, unfortunately, his tragic ending took place in London, in Liverpool, to be specific, in England. And he passed away October 23rd, 2000, at the age of 34. Folks, Yokozuna, managed by Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette as the translator. They all cared about him. Bruce Prichard, executive producer at World Wrestling Federation / Entertainment. Vince McMahon, who loved him. The owner. They all wanted him to get better. They wanted him to be a part of the family. He was a part of the BSK group that was documented in the Undertaker documentary, which we spoke about previous episodes. You can tune in, folks. Subscribe and watch our old episodes. You can go as far back as episode 11, where we review The Undertaker, The Last Ride. Cheap plug, I know. But hey, we've done a lot of these. And I don't know how many, because I'd rather you just subscribe, because it doesn't matter. We're going to keep bringing you this content day after day, week after week, year after year on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you know, folks, Yokozuna, Bret the Hitman Hart says, Undertaker says, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the main name in professional wrestling. If you think late 90s wrestling, you think Stone Cold, you think The Rock. And the ringmaster, Stone Cold Steve Austin, his original gimmick in World Wrestling Entertainment, he wrestled around the same time frame as Yokozuna. When he sat on a toilet and broke it and cut his butt on the, what they call that stuff it's made out of? Sharp. It basically cut Yokozuna in the butt cheek. And Bret Hart said it was a very, very interesting thing. It was an interesting thing because he bled, literally, for being too big. Folks, the blood, the sweat, the tears that wrestlers go through always allows me to know that there's a lot of things that are happening in the World Wrestling Federation, especially cutting your butt cheek on a toilet seat. It happened to Yokozuna. I know. I know. It's funny, but it's not. But it really happened. Anyways, it did happen, folks. And you get this information on our podcast. I told you, this show's about everything, folks. That's what we call it, and stuff. And I can tell you, day after day, week after week, year after year, we bring you this information. We bring you this interesting fact. But the thing is, Yokozuna, he did seriously not care about his weight. Go vegan! Anyways, the whole point, the fact is, we're done. We're going to wrap it up right now. And the reason why is because I'm ready to go. And we've done great. We gave the tribute show, in a sense, because they did. The Undertaker and all these other wrestlers went to the tribute show, folks, to pay tribute to Yokozuna, the grand champion. And they gave him the send-off of a lifetime. the way it deserves. It's sad that these wrestlers are going fast, folks. We don't have too many of the great ones left. So please appreciate the fact that you get our podcast to give you old school wrestling. We give you new wrestling. We give you facts about stuff. All this on one show. It's a mouthful. But you can find us on YouTube, visually, iTunes, and Spotify. So, folks, thank you for tuning in. Share this with family, friends, and that way we can bring you more shows and talk about more legends of the ring. But before I leave you, I'm going to send you off with one of our favorite send-offs, and then we're going to go. We're going to play Bastel's music. Bird's going to take it home, and we're going to say bye-bye now. And once again, that's how we do this here on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. But what we're going to do is this. We're going to send it off like this. Do you have an attitude of gratitude? Do you go vegan? Do you share happiness? Are you bitter? I'm not. Because our lives are whatever we make of it. Just go out there into the world today and do me a great big favor. Not just for me. Do it for your friends. Share this show. Share the fact you've gone vegan. And share the fact that you're going to see how many times you can hear Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff in your ears or in your face. I have an attitude of gratitude, and our life is whatever we make of it. Just go out there into the world today and simply make it a great one. Thank you, folks. I'm leaving now. Ashufkem. Thank you, my friends. Number one. Okay. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Peace.